when life starts spinning around and spinning around, starts dragging you down again. You might fall to the ground, but I won't make a sound. I'll just lift you up, lift you up, lift you up, lift you up. Lift you up, lift you up.
Good morning. I've had an interesting morning. Lots of little things kind of tripped me up that weren't happening to other people around me, and we find ourselves in our own little cloud of things. I've been even checking the bottom of my shoes to make sure there's no toilet paper stuck to me that I can't see anywhere. That happens. I want to tell you about another lady, though, who had an interesting thing happen. She was a vintage, what was she? A vintage kitchen utensil collector. And then she had one item that was quite a mystery to her. It was like a metal slotted spoon, but also looked like a spatula. So she wasn't quite sure what the exact purpose was, so she used it for both things. And when she wasn't using it, it rested in a beautiful decorative ceramic holder for all to see. And that was her little mystery item. She used it whatever it would fit in for. And then one day she happened to be at a rummage sale, and she saw one of these things in its original package. She was finally relieved to find out that it was a pet pooper scooper. But you can make anything you want out of anything, right? We've had two guest speakers this month. Last week, Reverend Donald. Next week, Dr. Penny. And both of them are dealing with information that is about clearing internal stuff and renewing what we think and feel and kind of bringing stuff to the surface for personal clarity and bringing up our true self. These are very important things. And it actually fits all together with the topic this month, which has been about spiritual life and community service. And today is about choosing where to give. And it all fits in because without knowing our true desire and what we really have inside of us, which kind of makes our roadmap ahead, we don't know where we're going. So it all fits in, and that's a really good thing. In my message today, I want to do my best to speak about giving and doing service from a place of personal authenticity and also true desire. Margaret Young says that in order to be truly happy, you must first be who you really are. Then you do what you need to do, and that is what you have in order to be happy. This is a way of being in the world that aligns with your personal authenticity and the choices that allow you to be your true self and for that to be seen and for you to feel validated and for you to express yourself the way you'd like to be seen in the world. So you be who you are. You do what you really need to do to have what you want and to be happy. And what do most people want? People want to be fulfilled. And people want to know that they are part of something bigger than themselves, that they're connected. The opposite of authenticity is doubt and shame. And these are two things that can pull us out of our true self, pull us away from ourselves. They cause us to look to others for approval, and we can end up being whatever that other person wants us to be or whatever they want us to do. And what they want us to do may not connect with what we feel in our heart. It may be something that's totally aligned with what they want to do or their ego, and not really what feels good to us. When that happens, we can find ourselves being used up. Anybody ever felt that before? You've got your own words and descriptions for being used up by someone else. But then again, someone may justify the definition of what it is to be of service and to help someone else. They say all service projects and charity are important and everyone should just pitch in, or that organization does great work and you should volunteer for them no matter what you think about that yourself. Well, I have some personal issues and personal peeves with some charity organizations, and one in particular that used to confront my husband at his job and make them contribute even while they were in front of other people. It's kind of manipulation. Or I worked for my business where I was working, and they made us spend one whole day out in the community doing community service work, which doesn't sound bad, but when I found out that this charity organization and the wonderful community service we were doing, only 8 cents of every dollar went towards the actual event, and 92 cents went towards payroll and administration. So that was very disappointing to me. So I want to work with what feels good and know that my work in the community is really coming from my heart and really doing some good. Brené Brown says that authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. She says to be authentic, there's a couple little rules that you do. You set boundaries and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And if you know the work of Brené Brown, she's big on vulnerability. Number 2 is to have compassion for yourself and for others, and know that we all go through the choices that we have to make around this issue, and that we're all made of strength and struggle. And then to nurture the truth and feeling that you are enough. You're already enough, and you don't have to prove it to anybody else by doing things that don't connect to your heart. So when we know we're enough, we know what feels right, we know what feels good for us, and we can live from our own center, our own core, and make choices for what we want to do. E.E. Cummings wrote, "To be nobody but yourself in a world that is doing its best to make you be everybody but yourself. That's the hardest battle that you'll fight." So staying real is courageous, and it's a continual battle in today's world. Dr. Ken Gordon, our spiritual leader, says in his September talk that when we are authentic and real, that's when we change the world. And when I can be authentic, when you can be authentic, all of us, we can be living from an energy that's fueled by the truth of who we are and the purpose and the connection that we have out in the world. In our prayer work, we sometimes use the phrase, "in me, as me, through me." Right? Have you guys heard that? In the prayer work, okay. And do you really know what it means and how it describes what we are? We use it because Spirit lives in me because it creates me. It lives as me because I am an individuation of Spirit. And it lives through me as I go out into the world to do my work. The closer I am to God, or Spirit, through my spiritual practice and prayer, the more I know that I'm a vessel of God, that I'm used by God, that I'm in the physical expression right here, right now, for Spirit to do its work in the world. And so are each of you. I've come to understand that every person is born with a spiritual purpose. There's a seed planted in each little soul that's accepted and takes on that task of doing a purpose that's completed during their time on earth. Every seed for every person is different. And the result of following that purpose, this calling, is that your life is happy, it is whole, and it is complete. There's also an urge that's involved in this purpose that pulls a person to be connected with everyone else, and to recognize that we're part of a whole, part of a unity, part of a big humanity something that we can even, sometimes hard for us to conceive, but we are connected to all of this. And when we act on that urge, that is service from love. Service can look like anything. Service can be big, service can be small, and it doesn't matter how big or small, but the importance is big and real. And I'm not talking about we're born with this little seed of purpose, and we get to try to find what that is and reach for it out in the world. And we may want to be guided toward just what that is that feels good to us. And I'm not speaking about, sometimes there's an emergency situation where we all kind of jump in help, so we all want to do that. But there is something specific that each person is born with. And so that's what we want to look for and reach in and learn about when we talk about where we want to choose to give. I'm talking also about there is always a voice within. And we can listen to that voice within for where we want to be in our community here and where we want to be out in the world. That voice tells us what feeds our heart. And that voice tells us what brings us closer to others in a way that serves and feeds and supports them when we want to give. And when we do it from that place, when we get that notion to listen, we are also fulfilled ourselves. We find a happiness within us that maybe doesn't come from anything else. And when we do service from that place, that's the service that actually shifts the world. Things happen in a different way that we can't really even see if it's not right in front of us, but things begin to happen out in the world. The service that comes from that place of the heart and from our purpose is an energy that gets amplified more than you can know. I know people who have this urge and have this calling and have this purpose that they were able to make into their job, or they fell into their job and their employment or even the vocation that actually is their spiritual purpose to be here. And so every day is filled with that joy and that life and that love of what they're doing in the world and doing with other people. How would that be? What would that be to wake up every morning and know that what you're going to do today is going to make a difference, not only in someone's life, but possibly in the world? Does anyone here have a job like that? Yeah? And then there's those of us that go to work every day and we make our living and we feed and we have our house, and that's okay, because maybe some purposes don't wake up until later in life. I know some people who knew it from the time they were born what they wanted to do. It was just right there. And so everything in their life is about service. And then there's some of us who don't wake up to it till after 50 or 60, and that's okay. It's God's time. It's all perfect. When we listen to the voice within and we follow the signs, we can find what the gift is in the purpose. And when you become aware that the purpose is actually your calling and it's calling you and pulling you, it draws you where you need to be. It puts you right in that right place at the right time with the right people, and all the stuff shows up for you. Doors open, the path opens. Selena and I listened to someone else the other day who talked about something that clicked in them, and all of a sudden the world's opening for them to do something that is very important, not only to their heart, but it's going to feed a lot of people spiritually in Salt Lake in a year. And so how fabulous it was to hear that story. You never know when it's going to hit you, but it makes a difference. And when you respond to that calling for goodness, you put that action out in the world. That is what you do in service to God, and that's God in action and love in action. Okay. So I'm talking about feeling that presence, living in a way that is authentic to who you are and what you feel. We have that sense that you have that urge and that calling, and it's a way to give your purpose out there and help others. So, a couple of examples of things that have happened when people have had that spontaneous urge. Is Shane here?
I'm here.
There you are. On September 3rd, Shane had a download to immediately go help people in Houston. So by golly, he just got up and got in his truck and drove. And kind of went down there, and things opened up for you. The road opened, you had a safe drive, people contributed, and you had support all along the way, coming and going. Yeah, that was such a great thing. You did a good thing, and you're special. They kind of broke the mold when they made you. For a whole lot of reasons, but that was good. September 9th, we had a World Service Day, but we did a wonderful project at the Cancer Wellness House, and that was prompted by Pat Shook. So there's a lot of people, yeah, we had fun. We had a lot of fun. Shane felt a very strong connection to what he was going to do. Pat had a strong connection. It's something that fed her heart. There are people here in the community that have a connection to the Cancer Wellness House. So we got together because we felt we wanted to give right in that moment to that particular thing. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So, and there are families here within our own spiritual community within our congregation that need support and help with projects. So we are a family. We want to do what's needed and support to help others. And so these are projects that we can do together. And even when we help ourselves within our own church community here, that is a vibration that ripples out to help the community around us. And if you know of someone here that needs some help or support, come tell us so that we can join in. And when if there are certain people who feel that connection and pull for that particular kind of work or project they need help in, let us know. And if they're available, they'll be there. Because we're all here to help each other. And sometimes we just have to remind ourselves that that's what we do. Last year, when I wanted to start doing service projects, I did some research out in the community, made some phone calls of what kinds of things were around, and I was pretty surprised to find out all the different types of things that go on that we can actually help with. There were some things that were so foreign to my concept of life that I wasn't sure that was something that I could put together or even promote or bring here, because I just wasn't quite sure of the pathway. I would have been useless if I had volunteered for a certain project that I just didn't understand what they needed. But what I did eventually find was our project with the Utah Food Bank. And we had a lot of fun. It was one that was easy to connect with in the moment, got us together. We had about 10 or 11 people. We had a blast. We finished up even earlier than they wanted or that they needed us for. And the Utah Food Bank is something that does so much work in this valley that even the little bit of work that we were able to do as our group in that building reaches out into the community and even supports these other projects that I felt were too big for us or even for myself. So you never know where you're reaching out and what you're doing. So that was really good. That was fun to do. So we put these first couple pieces together. We talked about authenticity. We talked about recognizing this truth within us and a desire that has a connection to our heart, to what we want to do, and even to our ability and availability. But there's also a piece of connection that connects us into something bigger out in the world. And the connection is a truth that we're actually one with everything and everyone. And as we serve others, we serve ourselves. Sometimes that's a foreign concept for people who want to do charity. But as we serve others, when we come from that place of the heart, we are serving our others. And as we support them, we grow. And then here comes this thing of energy being amplified. And as we give, it cycles back around. And then all things grow together. It's an organic experience, actually. It's an organic process. It's not just giving to something and feeling good. I gave to that, and now I can walk away and go home and go to sleep. When we give from that place of our calling and our heart that feeds us and we love, it's organic and it's alive. We support them and the love comes back and we're supported. And that's where we want to be when we're choosing where we want to give and how we want to give. The 4 topics that were set up for the month of September are stepping stones to spiritual living through community service. The first was It's All About Me. Interesting title. However, when I do my spiritual work, I gain the understanding that as I take care of me spiritually and know what I really am on the inside, I am more available to serve others. It starts with me to understand what calls me, what my purpose is, and sometimes it can be big, sometimes it can be quite simple, but the value is equally in all things. The value is equal to the result. By serving, we are served personally. By serving others, we change the world. The second is your life isn't just for you, because we are all part of the great whole called God, the unity. Everything we do impacts the whole. What happens to the whole happens to us. We have a logical obligation to give the best that we have, which improves our individual lives as well. And when we give and serve, it cycles back. As you give, it is given unto you. Choosing where to give. In order for us to see a world that works for everyone, we must be the example we want to see out in the world. We must be an example through our personal life, our community life, and through the global expression. And that's in thought as well as in deeds. We are ordained with God-given gifts, and in order to lead a divine life, don't hold back on the gifts that you were given. Don't hold back on even attempting to discover what those gifts are within you and where you can offer them and what you can provide. Your gifts may be in your job, your gifts may be in your hobby, and your gift to serve may simply be a volunteer expression that you want to do in your off time. But it all adds up. It all amounts. And it is giving of ourselves in time, talent, and treasure, however that looks for you. And the fourth is that you can change the world. Individually, you can change the world. Each one of us has an individual expression of an infinite consciousness. God in us, through us, as us. We are all endowed with sacred qualities that God has given each and every individual. And it's love. It starts with love. We all have unique gifts that are necessary and needed components of this world. No one was exempt from that. We all have it. And it's like each person is a piece of the puzzle, that big spiritual puzzle, the puzzle of unity and humanity. So all the pieces come together for the picture. For peace and healing of this world, it is essential that we do not try to cut back on what we can give and who we know that we are. So you can be the change that's necessary for the world. Sometimes we look and we go, what? Are you pointing to me? You are enough, just as you are, and you can be the piece of the puzzle that makes a difference. And you can be the piece of the puzzle that connects to someone else's piece that makes even a bigger difference. And that's how we affect the world. And that's how we work with love. So this is your connection to everything. There's also a mirror effect with people. What's in their heart, what's in their passion, what's in their desire and their thought. So when we give, we activate our mirror through service, and we are giving from that God light, that God seed, that calling within us, and that allows us to find our best way to give and serve in the world. And this is what brings us together. Ernest Holmes said that faith without works is dead. We should not pray. We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing the best they have to the common purpose. And then he also said, it is man's unity with the whole, or God, on the conscious side of life that is an absolute guarantee that he is the center of God consciousness in the vast whole. So faith without works is dead. We pray and we treat and move our feet. And we are part of that absolute whole because we are of God. So here's a few things to ponder for the week. What comes to mind when you think about selfless service? That little phrase, selfless service, I think gets used a lot for a lot of different reasons. What comes to mind for you? And can selfless service come from love and wholeness and connection? Can service from love and connection serve you individually, our church community, as well as bring good into the world? How do you feel about that? And here's one that comes to mind for this week. With our new minister co-creation this Thursday night, how does you being authentic and you hearing that voice of God within you, that seed, guide you to your purpose and guide you for the work that you'll do in this new minister co-creation this week? We really want you all to be there. The kind of processes and information and work that will be done this week will affect not only you personally. I don't think people get that piece of it. There are general co-creations, and this new minister co-creation is about releasing, realizing where our thoughts are, letting go, and creating something brand new. And it will be not only personally, but it will be for this center that's going to ripple out. And it's important that you come and be willing to be authentic and maybe even be willing to be a little vulnerable to whatever that means for you, to at least even a little bit. We hope you'll put that on your calendar. We hope that you'll be here. We hope that you'll even tell some friends that don't come so much anymore, because this will make a difference to this center, not only now, but even from the moment that this center was first thought about back in the 50s, because that's where the consciousness will be as we do this work. And that is community service to our home. How does giving your time, talent, and treasure supplement the new minister co-creation and our center going forward? So those are just a few things to think about, because it's important. So take a breath. Remember E.T.? And he had the finger that lit up, but he had a heart light. And that's the light you have from that seed and from that spark that you were born with. And that's the light that mirrors out when you do your community service, and be willing to go in and ask, is there something you can do that feeds you, that feels good, because that empowers you and makes you stronger and more available to that particular thing. And it doesn't mean that the ship's going to get lopsided and everybody's going to go to one event and nobody's going to serve anything else, because we all have certain desires and we all have things that we like and we all have different abilities and availability in time and physical ways. So we all get to serve ourselves, our church community, and the community out there in so many different ways. That's what makes it fun. Okay? So if you would like to serve in some way or have a project that wants to be served, let me know. We have a service project team. I'm not doing it by myself in my little small brain right now, because there's not much space in there. But our team can take the ideas and we can bounce them off each other and brainstorm for best ways to kind of get things out, because people like different things. So let's work together on that. And let's take this into prayer. So as you hear these words in this form of affirmative prayer, recognize and know that the Spirit and the Word is yours. And so as I go within right now, I recognize that there is one life. That life is God's life, the life of the divine, the spiritual creator of all that is. That life is good and very good, and that life is my life now. And because this is my life, I am filled with choice. I am filled with an empowerment and a presencing to know that Spirit is right here with me every day, every moment of every day. And as I open to that place within, that small voice, I know that there is guidance and grace to guide me to where I am to be and how I can be the best I can be. I know that as I follow this voice, if there is something that I cannot attain myself, that there is support in friendship and community, and I'm guided to find that. I'm guided to be present and be aware when it comes to me. I know that within my heart there is great love. And there is great love in this spirit that created me and guides me for what I am to do and what my purpose is here in this time, in this life. I know that my purpose connects to others, for no man is an island unto himself. I know that my purpose and my calling connects me to those who I can serve and I can be served by as well. And we all grow together. As one person serves and lifts and rises up, those others around him rise also. It is good. So today I practice recognizing and serving the Spirit in others as myself. Today I live my life in service to the whole. In this way I live the fullest life possible. Life is good. I love sharing my divine gifts with my community and the world. I make an impact here and know that it resonates throughout the globe. I'm willing to be the change I want to see in the world. Knowing I am one of the divine, one with all people, I affirm here and now there is a power flowing through me and them which blesses and heals and prospers as we serve each other and the world. With absolute grace and gratitude, I accept this prayer, I accept this word, I give and I receive, and it is a blessing. And knowing this good, I release this word into the law, into that mechanics of the universe that makes it so. And claiming this together, allowing this to be, together we say, and so it is.